All right, Nate, since it's your channel, give us an
I always
intro.
have to do the intro. I think you should do the intro this time.
It's your channel. Give us an intro.
Hello and welcome to us talking about stuff. How's that?
It's your
Oh,
channel.
sounds like an intro I would make.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff. It's another episode of the podcast which doesn't really have a name still, which I'm not pleased with. I will hopefully have a name by the time it's edited and put up, and it'll stick it in here with Microsoft Sam's voice, I guess. Samsung Sam, Microsoft Sam. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, today we're going to talk about stories from our past where either our own or the negligence of others caused a humorous, dangerous situation, which was probably not humorous at the time, but upon looking back is now humorous, although it might have been funny at the time if you were a bystander. How was
I
that
have
for a
one.
really long-winded intro?
That's a fitting, long-winded intro. I have one that was both fun at the time and horrifying looking back on.
All right, go for it.
So, when I was a youngin', I lived in a different city next to, I believe, 16th Street. And on this
Sure.
street, there is this very long and very steep hill. So this is not just because I know some people do know kind of around where I lived. This was not the one within like the cul-de-sac. We had to actually go out and travel like pardon me. We have to go and travel out 5.5, 6 minutes away to this big ass hill. And if you were to walk the hill to the bottom, it's like a 20-minute walk. Like it's a long hill and it's significantly steep. So what we did in our infinite wisdom growing up from the age of probably 8 till like 14 is me and my friends, we would take our skateboards. We would go to the top of this road because it was just a road on a hill. We would lie on our backs on the skateboards and go flying down this hill. And we're zipping down there. We're going way faster than you should go on a skateboard. So you've seen people whip down hills and it's pretty dangerous. Couple things to note about this. One, we're on the road and it's a semi-busy road, so there's lots of other cars we're bobbing and weaving between. And two, at the bottom of the hill, with nowhere near enough time to stop, there is a road that goes straight across this road. More than one skateboard was sacrificed as someone bailed off their board and slid down the hill on their ass, and their skateboard goes straight under a truck wheel.
Goodbye.
We did that for years. We got to the point where we would roll up behind a car and try and hook onto it with our feet. Unless you were one of the guys who went head first, in which case you would just grab onto it. So you could go even faster.
I'm going to assume the kicker here is no one even wore helmets.
Honestly, I don't remember. I know I wore a helmet because my mom would have just skinned me alive if I didn't have a helmet when I had my skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, when the truck tubes a tube of toothpaste to you, it's a good thing it's all contained inside the helmet so it doesn't just gush out. You know, it's great.
Look, I was not thinking nearly that far. Here's the thing. It wasn't until I was telling this story in college when one of my friends was like, holy shit, how are you alive? That it really kicked into me. I'm like, oh, yeah, that one probably was pretty dangerous. They did try to stop us by adding some speed bumps near the bottom of the hill.
Just
Which
made it
all
more
that did
intriguing.
was sacrifice skateboards to the bottom of cars. It really didn't stop us.
Do you ever have a skateboard just go right through a car? Like it just jumps up, dents the side of the panel of a vehicle?
Oh, yeah, there were several which after they put the bumps in that hit the side of a vehicle and we just cheese it into the woods nearby. We were those kids.
Well, there's someone listening to this just randomly. Like his kid is listening to this in the future. He's like in his like late 50s now. He's sitting there and it's like, look at this weird video I found on YouTube, and it's like, I remember that shitty little kid. Is he still alive? I'm gonna find him.
Statutes, limitations. You can't sue me, bitch.
He can't see you, but he can give you back the skateboard.
Look, I'm okay with that. That hill had we did a lot of stupid things on that hill. My mom doesn't know I did that. I was at least smart enough not to tell her I was on that. Whenever I'd say, oh yeah, we were playing on the hill, she assumed it was the hill at the start of our complex. And I was very good about my wording to make sure I never broke that illusion.
And there's no way she's going to listen to this, so she still doesn't know. It's fine.
Oh yeah, she will never see any of my videos, and that's for the better.
Kevin, give us a story of terror, woe, danger, suspense, any of these things.
It's gonna be none of those things.
Oh,
This
dear.
was a combination of me being dumb, but mostly the driver being dumb. Most
Oh,
of the
boy.
near-death experiences I've had been with vehicles. Funny enough. I didn't know how bad it was at the time though. So
Mhm.
we need to fit like 6 people into one vehicle.
Oh boy.
So body surfing ensues. So I can't see anything. I'm body surfing in the back seat.
Can you explain to me what you mean by body surfing? I need a picture of this in my mind.
So think like, well, because like we obviously didn't want to have like 6 people or 5 people sitting in the back.
Okay.
So we would just have one person like body surfing on everyone else's laps.
So just like lying across them.
Yeah. That way, well, realistically speaking, the cop would look and they see like 7 people in one vehicle. They're gonna be like, "What the hell's going on?" But if you have body surfing, then you're fine. So
I can picture this now.
yeah. So while that's happening, we're going down a road. I'm gonna leave this road out of the equation here. But you just need to know it's a one-way, both streets. You have 2 lanes, one going left, the other one going right.
Okay, yeah.
So I hear him like kind of speed up, and he's changing lanes, and then I hear oh shit, and then he speeds up. I hear
Oh no, I know what's happening now too.
and then it's like a hard jerking motion going back into the right hand lane,
Oh yeah.
and everybody is super quiet. I look up. What the fuck happened? You don't want to know. It wasn't until I get out of the vehicle where they go, yeah, so remember when he said, oh shit? I was like, yeah. He goes, he went to merge right as a oncoming semi. Like he realized a semi was coming. I was like, he didn't just slow down, get back in the lane. No, he's decided to beat it out playing like some Mario Kart bullshit.
Oh no, I've been in a car when someone's did that on a highway. Oh, it's the scariest thing. Literally, it's like the thought in your head is, this is how I die.
I didn't know about it. So, I mean, okay, I didn't like know about it when it happened. And then afterwards, I just looked at him. I was like, I'm taking the bus back. I don't care.
Do not blame you.
It took me 3 hours to get home that day, but I felt safe every minute I was in that bus.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's a yikes.
Isn't it weird when you drive with someone that you've known and like they drive completely counter to their like personality? I have one friend. He's a super like mellow guy. This is years later. He's way mellower now. But back when he was a teenager, or like not really a teenager, but you know what I mean, like 18, 19, we were going on a road trip and I had no idea, but he is a speed demon. We would go like 40 or 50 over the speed limit on this road trip, and I was like terrified the entire time. It's like you never really see it coming. It's like, oh, this guy is super chill. Oh no, he's driving a car. He's not chill no more. Right,
Is he prone to road rage?
No, that's me. You should
yes,
ask my
you
cousin
are.
Joel. He drove with me on a road trip for 12 hours one time, and he's like, Daniel, you're so angry. I was like, what are you talking about? This is a normal level of frustration with drivers.
No, you are next level angry boy when you are driving.
Hey, as I have said many times, I never stop and get out of the car, therefore I don't have road rage.
You
I
are
love
one
people that do
level
that.
above it.
Oh, I saw that happen a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic. This old guy, he like literally rolled over there with a walker just to rage at someone, and then he got back. He walkered himself back into his vehicle. It was fantastic.
I mean, my brother told me a story about someone he used to work with in a road rage incident. The other guy pulled over, got out of the car, and smashed his hood in with the shovel.
The shovel?
With the
Where
shovel.
did the shovel come from?
I guess he was some kind of tradesman because he had a shovel.
Damn.
Oh man! So I've had one road rage incident where someone got out of their car to try and scream at me at a red light, and this guy, he's fucking angry, trying to get in my face, and all I said was, "Is it wise to pick a fight with someone wearing armor?" The look on his face when he realized if I punch him, it's gonna hurt him a whole lot more than me. He just went right back into his car and just glared at me for the rest of the red light. It was glorious.
The only time I ever got out of my car, and it wasn't because I was angry, it was because I wanted to see if he had damaged my vehicle, was when I was waiting at a left turn in traffic and someone else wanted to turn left, and they used their car to push my car forward so that he could get into the left turn lane.
What?
Yeah,
What the
it was at the port.
Whoa.
It was a really old longshoreman, shoved my car forward into through the crosswalk, and then so he could fit in. I got out, looked at my car, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "Get back in your car. Your car's fine." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, dude? You just shoved my car forward with yours. You can't do that. That's freaking illegal." He's like, "It's fine. Just get in the car and drive away." I was so angry at that point. I wasn't really angry at first. I was just like, unbelievable. Like, I can't believe this guy did that. And then I was starting to get angry.
You start with it. Now, do you think about things and then work yourself into a rage?
On that one, I was just incredulous, and then I was starting to get angry, mostly because of how he was like. It was mostly the way he was talking to me about it too. Like, he was dismissing it as if he had done nothing wrong, and he was basically like, "You're overreacting. There's no reason to be angry. Just go." And it's like, well, not only was that ridiculously dangerous because you could have pushed me in front into another vehicle or into the intersection, but you shoved my vehicle forward with your vehicle, which could have damaged my vehicle greatly. And he's just treating me like I'm being ridiculous for being upset about it. Then I started to get angry. I did eventually just leave because there was no damage to my car, but I was sorely tempted to just put it in park and just call the cops. But there was so many other people. It was like end of the day traffic. There were so many people stuck behind us. I really didn't want to have to deal with that.
I mean, at that point, you could have just taken the license plate and be like, all right, happy to get her back.
Yeah, but it would have just been a whole huge hassle. It would have been a big pain for me as well. But yeah, no, that was kind of a
Should have wrecked him, dude.
it probably wouldn't have happened, to be honest. They would have been like, well, there's no damage, so there's nothing you can really do about it.
I would still call on him just to fuck his day. Like, I am a spiteful motherfucker. Like, you fuck with me, I will shoot myself in the foot to make sure I hit your foot underneath. I will grab you and stab through my hand to make sure I'm getting you. I will fuck you up. That would piss me off so much.
Well, I know that we said we weren't going to segue, we already have, so I'm going to have to talk about a story now that gets us back on topic. What's the story? Do I go for a story of something dumb that happened with cars? Or do I go for a story where something dumb that I did was very dangerous when I was a child? I think I'll go with the child one first. So when you
child
look
endangerment.
Well, we were children too, so it was just a lot of endangerment going around. When you look at a broom handle and a garbage pail lid, what do they make you think of?
Sword and shield, baby.
Exactly. So when we were kids, me and the neighborhood kids with my brother, we would pick up any kind of sword-like object. It didn't have to be a broom handle. I had a broken golf club. My brother had an axe handle, and we had the old garbage cans, which they don't actually have anymore. But it was for the round garbage cans. We actually had metal ones with handles and plastic ones with handles. And we would just use them as shields, and we would have sword fights with each other. And I don't know how nobody got seriously injured. We had injuries, don't get me wrong, because we were full on swinging at each other. We weren't playing around. It was we were mostly going for each other's sticks and shields, but there was a couple of times when you get a little bit more competitive, I should say. And there was definitely one time where this didn't happen, and if anyone asks me if this happened, I deny it ever happening. But there's a possibility that this imaginary thing happened where I spun around dodging him and then stabbed him with my broken golf club perfectly, right in the chest. It didn't do any real damage, but he has a scar. My friend had a scar there for years afterwards, and then he broke my brother's toe in the same day. But that was because he had swung the axe handle and Caleb misjudged the block with the garbage can lid. It was a good time. It was a great time. But that no one was ever actually seriously hurt. There was some scrapes. There was minor contusions and bruising, but somehow no one was seriously injured, even though we were literally thwacking at each other with sticks. Like out in the where we lived, there was a lot of like empty lots at the time that were full of blackberry brambles. We'd go out there, just like beat those down, and then start hitting each other. It was great fun. And then of course you were there, Will, when we finally got one of those above ground pools, and we started doing one of the dumbest things in the world, full on wrestling inside of the above ground pool and
Yeah.
nearly drowning each other.
Yeah, there's a few times where murder was potentially on the table for us. It was unintentional.
It would have been manslaughter
but...
at worst. Manslaughter at worst, man. Because it wasn't intentional murder.
You're right.
That was when Caleb got in so much trouble. Was it Caleb or me? No, it was Caleb. Got in so much trouble because was it you or Wesley got really badly scratched while we were wrestling?
What would have been Wesley?
Yeah, I think Caleb was like wrestling him, and he accidentally scratched him real bad on the back, and it was a big scratch because we were getting quite feisty with that wrestling. But it was a fun time. Kids today are actually intelligent, and they just play games that don't involve nearly murdering each other. Like
when
we
would have those floating toys, and then we would push you underneath them and nearly drown you.
I forgot about King of the Hill on the floaties at the pool. Do you think that's why they got rid of floaties at the public pools?
So let's tell the story properly. We are the reason why. Us and people like us are the reason why public pools don't have floating like flotillas that you can actually hang out on. Because at the public pool that we went to as kids, there was this one like floaty that could handle like 3 or 4 kids on it without sinking.
It was basically a boat.
It was basically a boat. You could put 2 teenagers on there without it sinking. Like it was a good floaty and pretty decently large. And so we would play King of the Hill, fighting to get on top of it and push each other off. We made sure we were actually pretty good about making sure we were never too close to the side so we didn't bash our heads on the concrete.
Yeah.
But this does mean that we are actively pushing people down into the water and holding them down so they don't come back up and take over our position.
And on occasion, flipping the floaty on top of them, not necessarily on purpose.
On purpose half the time.
Well, yeah, I never intended to drown anyone. I can't speak for Will.
Well, here's the thing. I was flipping the thing because I'll flip it and you'll swim out. Forgetting that Nate, especially at that point in your life, was super fucking buoyant and you would just get stuck on the bottom of the fucking boat. And,
for those of you who don't know, I can't sink willingly. I only float.
It generally, when we were kids, it would take 2 of us climbing on him for him to sink a little bit, and he'd still be close to the surface. He's very floaty. So yeah, there were several times where we would flip the boat, and Nate would just get trapped underneath.
My life flashed before my eyes.
You would get so mad, and I would always be like, "Oh, what you so mad about?"
Kevin, did you guys ever play like what was that game that used to play in elementary school? What, Red Rover? Did you ever play that?
Oh, the amount of clotheslines that happened during that game is nothing short of legendary. They always say, "Don't go for the neck," but you can't help it. You just see the neck there. It's all vulnerable. It's just like, please hurt me.
Did you guys play Red Rover in gym class?
No, but based off of the analytics for my channel, the only people watching this are people over 30, so I'm going to assume everyone knows what Red Rover is. But just in case people don't know what Red Rover is, because I doubt the kids play it now, you would have 2 lines of people holding hands, and one person would be called over from the other side. And if they broke through the line, what was it? They took the people that they broke to their side?
Oh, yes. 1 or 2 of them, yeah.
Yeah, and if they didn't get through, they added to that side. And it won when one side had all of the people. So like Kevin was saying, when they would run, you would just clothesline the runner.
So I know for a fact they still do play this, as this was a few weeks ago. I was riding around on one of my days off, and I went past several schools, and I saw kids playing Red Rover, and it was glorious. I'm like, yes, you're still doing it. I actually live relatively nearby an elementary school, and yesterday I went to the dollar store, which I have to walk past the elementary school to get to it. Well, okay, technically I could go a very long way around, but fuck it. I'm just going to walk past the damn school. I don't care about the kids screaming. And not only did I see kids playing Red Rover, I saw a group of kids playing Red Ass.
That one's not one I know.
Okay, so Red Ass is a dumb game where you throw a ball against the wall and it bounces back, and one of the other people have to catch it. If they don't catch it, they have to go and put their hands on the wall, ass out, and you get to whip the ball at them. If you hit them in the ass, bullseye, you get a point. If you miss, they get to go off the wall, and you play until someone else misses catching that ball.
Lovely game.
Oh,
No,
it was
designed by children.
Obviously.
Yes. Very
Did you
good with
guys
a
ever play,
kickball, not good with a small ball.
A hard ball. No. You guys ever play Grounders?
Oh, the amount of chipped teeth and broken bones I've seen playing that game.
Yeah, my brother almost got paralyzed for life from Grounders.
The word grounders reminds me of something, but I don't remember the game itself.
So what it was is it was basically you would play on the playgrounds at the school, which they don't really have playgrounds much anymore. They're all pathetic now. But we used to have like grandiose wooden playgrounds that were huge. And one person would be it. And they would have to have their eyes closed. And they would try to tag people that were also on the playground. And if they said grounders, if anyone was touching the ground, they were caught. Nothing could possibly go wrong with someone climbing on jungle gym equipment with their eyes closed, right? Nothing bad could ever happen.
Never.
No.
No. There definitely was safety railings for sure on old playgrounds, 100%. No one could have fallen off and landed on a convenient bar with their spine. Not one time. We also used to have chicken fights on the top of like the playground and try to throw the other person off, but you know, that never
monkey bar fights.
You've never done elbow boxing?
No, I'm not.
What is
What's
that?
the elbow boxing?
Oh my! I can't even. I don't know who thought of it. I just remember being in the elbow boxing tournament during recess and lunch, and you would effectively put your hands. You would put them behind your head, right? And then so your elbows should be sticking out in front of you.
Oh.
I can picture this. I vaguely recall this.
And you slap each other with your elbows.
Oh yeah, we beat the shit out of each other.
Okay, so we did play that, but we didn't have a name for it.
I remember. Do you remember? Did you guys ever play slapjacks?
Wait! You did the same thing, but you didn't have a name for it?
Yeah, we would just be
okay.
like, hey, you, fuck you. Just whip your hands up.
pretty
And
sure we called
everyone
that
knew
chicken
it was
fight.
on, and you just have like three guys running at each other with their elbows out, beating at each other.
Because because you have like the hands behind your head, you can't really do much apart from like weird ass
Wiggle?
Actually, no, I can see why Nathaniel. It's chicken game because it looks like wings. Yeah, I can see why. Yeah, I remember like breaking people's noses, getting bloody noses. Like you go back to class, the teacher's like, "What the fuck happened?"
Bloody noses, bruised eyes.
Lest we give people the wrong idea that all children from our generation are stupid. The adults aren't much better. So Will also has probably memories of this. We both went to the same church and we went to the same youth group. At one point, we had a new youth pastor who did like middle to older kids events for the teenagers. I called it Extreme Life. He came up with some wonderful ideas for the kids. The
sad thing is, I wasn't there for most of them. I only got to go to
your
two
brother
of them.
almost got decapitated, so that always helps. So he came up with a couple of ideas. One of the ideas he had was they put together a scaffolding for people to climb over. They didn't screw it together. They duct taped it together. And he decided that whoever could get over it the fastest while blindfolded would win. That was one of the events.
We had Junkyard Wars.
Junkyard Wars, yeah, where they would make vehicles out of pieces of junk and then try to go as fast as possible.
I have a very fun story with that. So we had you'd get 30 of these bike parts and you'd weld them together. And of course, he was the only one allowed to weld. He was the adult and whatever. So he's there in a full welding mask. And you'd come over to talk to him and you'd be like, oh yeah. And he'd be staring at the weld, and you would start staring at it and he'd be like, you guys are going to hurt if you do that, but I don't care if you do it. So I stared at
yeah.
welding for half a day, and I was
Wasn't that also
pardon
the
me,
one?
I was fucking blind afterwards.
Wasn't that also the day where during Junkyard Wars the front fell off of one of the bikes while it was going like 30 kilometers and
I
everyone on
was on
top of
that
it
bike.
fell off? Yeah, yeah. He also took us snow caving one time, but he neglected to make sure everyone had a partner for the snow caving, which meant I was the only one who did not have a partner. So I dug a tiny little snow grave, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll help you. I'll help you dig one." Never shows up. He comes out. Oh man, I got kind of busy, so I'm just gonna use these guys as snow cave. Go with those guys. I got hypothermia, and we woke up and the cave had almost collapsed on my face. It was about an inch away from falling in on us. Great. He made giant dice and giant playing cards. The giant playing cards were made of like that hard plastic, like corrugated sign that was cut with all the sharp edges still on it, and they were encouraged to throw the cards. Someone threw one of the cards. It hit Will's brother Wesley in the neck and gave him like a 2-inch gash on the side of his head.
I remember that. My mom was pissed.
Yes, and then they also hooked up a zip line to one of the oldest trees at the church, and then to the top of the church, and had people zip line off the top of the church with no nets and nowhere to go. The man was an animal.
Look, he was an animal, but he was also the best. Everyone loved him.
The parents thought I'm pretty sure he was quietly fired. He was just gone
he
one
was.
day.
He
I'm
absolutely
100%
was.
certain that the parents were like, "You have almost killed several children." The
thing with Wesley was one of the last fuck ups he did before quietly leaving.
I think one of my favorite things too was we used to do stuff with like pool noodles.
Yep.
Because they thought like, oh, kids can hit each other pool noodles, no one's gonna get hurt. They underestimate how much damage you can do with the pool noodle. And then aside from that, they decided to make giant pens with foam. And they're like, okay, it's fine. They can hit each other with the giant pens. It'll be okay. Yeah, most of it was foam, but the end was hard plastic. So you would just whip each other and do it just right so that they get hit with the end that's got a plastic pen on it.
Oh,
now
so
you're
made
hitting
a really
them.
shitty flail.
You're using a really shitty flail.
Okay, so not only that, we had these like big ropes that were used for tug of war. And there was also a few of the smaller ones, but these big ropes at the very tips of them basically had the tip of a shoelace on it, where it's like that, hardened plastic to keep the end good. We would beat each other with these things.
Yes.
Like, when a rat tail, like when you whip up your towel at the pool and you smack it at people to do a nice cracking whip, just add 2 pounds of plastic to the end of that. That's what we were smashing each other with, and we would just leave welts on each other.
Oh yeah, they eventually banned pool noodles completely because people were getting hurt with them, like too. Because they thought, if they just hit each other with lightly with a pool noodle, everything would be fine. But they neglected to think about 13 to 16-year-olds. We're never hitting each other lightly with a pool noodle. We are whipping it to hear that thwack. We want that thwacking noise, and we got that thwacking noise.
That's why your brother's so good at the 5-star.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we also played this game called Dodo, which is basically just like larger scale Red Rover, where you'd have 2 sides, and there'd be people on each side, and you'd have to run across to the other side and grab people and drag them out of bounds. And the whole time you're running, you have to be saying Dodo over and over again. If you stop before you cross the boundary, you stay on that side. If you pull people out of bounds, they go to your side. We played that a couple of times. It was great fun. I destroyed in that game because I was really heavy, and I couldn't really run fast, but I could run straight. And if people didn't get out of the way, they were coming out of bounds with me. I grabbed my brother and I had a really skinny, tall friend. I just hit him, and he went flying over my shoulder and like landed in that jumble of bones on the ground. It was fantastic. But then one day, it was raining and we wanted to play, so they, in their infinite wisdom, thought we should play inside. And I was running full tilt. I turned to dodge someone, and I went straight into the wall from about a foot out. right into it face first, just boop, falls to the ground. I'm done. Just done. Everyone is laughing. It's so funny. I have no idea what happened because I was running fast and now I'm just on the ground.
So that reminds me of a game that I played in most of my high school PE classes, where it was tag, but after you were running around for a bit, there was a bunch of people lying on the ground. So what you would do is you would lie down next to them, and there could only be 2 people. So the person that's double crossed from you would get up, so there's only 2 people there. So you lie down next to 2 people, one of them gets up and runs. We played this game a lot on our outside fields in high school. And then winter came, and so we're like, okay, let's play these games indoors. You know, it's fine. They'll just have to be, and they're just straight up like, it's wood. Be nice when you go down, otherwise this is going to hurt. And of course, my teacher's like, okay, they're going to slam into the ground once. It'll hurt, and they'll stop doing that because they're not idiots. They neglected to realize we now have cushions lying all over the ground. Our friends are just getting fucking dive bombed as we slam into them, and they're just like as the next guy gets up and running. So as soon as someone you would see like, oh, that person's beelining towards me, and the 2 people on the ground would fight to try and get up first because they knew one of them is just getting doggy piled into the fucking wood.
Even games that weren't meant to be violent would become violent, like Duck Duck Goose and freaking musical chairs. Those games would become freaking slugfest. If there was 2 people going for the same chair, someone's ending up on the ground.
Oh, that's awful.
No. See, you got it all wrong. When you play that kind of game, what you do is before they go to sit down, you just pull the chair out from underneath.
Even worse. Someone in my school got stitches because of that. Literally split his head open because someone pulled his chair out. Oh my freaking!
Did you guys ever play Crossfire with all the grades?
No. So we played Jackpot. But what's Crossfire? I don't even know what that is.
So I don't understand who the hell thought this was a good idea. But all grades means from 8 to 12. They're in the same gymnasium playing the same game.
Yeah, and 4 years isn't a lot, except when you're teenagers and they've got like an extra 50 pounds on you.
And what Crossfire is, by the way, this just keeps getting worse. Crossfire is effectively 2 games of dodgeball being played side by side, meaning that people to the left, the right, and diagonal from you are all fair game, and they're all firing at you. So it is just absolute chaos with 100 balls being whipped around a room. I remember one time I got hit, and I was like, okay, got hit. So you just sit down, you wait, and then once one person wins, the game starts over. So I'm just chilling. I get nailed in the head. I was like, okay, fair enough. I was not paying attention. I see it hit me, so some kid laughed, and I was like, all right, you got me. Hits me again. I was like, I feel like this is starting to become intentional. Hits me a 3rd time. I look, I was like, that's the fucker. That's the fuck I gotta go for. Game ends. I see he's now before he was across from me. Now he's diagonal. I see him. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. Which, by the way, you can and for a lot of games you usually have teams. So if you cross from one side to the other, you can get people back in or out.
Yeah.
So people are crossing back and forth, and so eventually the kid finds his way to my left, and I see he's not paying attention. You know, there's some balls that are just like they're small and slightly deflated, so you get a really good grip on them.
Oh yeah,
the ones you always wanted. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I was 17 and bitter. So you can just assume what happened here. With all my might, I throw it as hard as I can at the kid. And by the way, I wait. I was like a goddamn tiger shark. I waited until he was 1 foot away from the wall. And I threw it as hard as I can. I have never seen the human body head ricochet so hard in my entire life. Bang, bang!
Oh.
And of course my teacher sees this. Of course he just looks at me. Comes up, Kevin. Come on, man.
Isn't it great when they just sound defeated?
Like, of course, I'm sent away at this point, but he's just like, come on, Matt. Like, this is the reason why we didn't have Crossfire for 4 years.
So
And I was like, okay, fair, but he had shot me 3 times, and he knew what he was doing. I'm just establishing dominance. Because he threw the hit, I threw the kill.
so I have a similar story now that I know what this is. In my second high school, in grade 12 PE, my PE teacher decided we don't have enough gym space right now, so we're going to play dodgeball, grade 12s versus grade 8s.
Okay.
Not a good idea at first. So we're like, okay, so you're going to shuffle us between the two parties, right? No, it's grade 12s versus grade 8s.
You're
Worse than Crossfire.
Okay, so this is going to be an interesting thing. And it starts out as you expect, the grade 12s just shitting on the grade 8s because we were jackasses and very fit. Because grade 8s have to have PE. Grade 12s want to have PE.
Some, not all, but some. Most.
Well, it was an elective.
Yeah.
So everyone that was there wanted to be there. So the first couple games go as expected. Then the grade 8s decide, all right, they're going to play like this. We're going to fight dirty. And they started aiming for headshots, but lower headshots.
Oh, those little bastards.
Those little bastards started hitting nut shot after nut shot. And the grade 12s then gets spiteful. And we had a couple of soccer kids who were like, okay, then, if we're going to questionably follow the rules, it doesn't say I have to throw the ball. The soccer kids
that
were
poor kid.
booting the soccer ball into the faces of the grade 8s.
Broken
By
bones.
the end of it, we had a bunch of people with bloody noses. We had a bunch of people just out from ball shots. And just 2 very angry classes and a teacher going like, this is not what was supposed to happen.
He's crying. Unfortunately, I have a great story for this too, but I actually have to go. So we will have to continue this episode because I'm really enjoying this. And I have more stories. I think this one calls for a part 2.
I agree, because there's so many good stories like this to tell.
Stories. So we will end it here for now. This one's slightly shorter, but we'll continue with a part 2 later on. And we will have even more stories of questionable safety, questionable judgment, and questionable figures of authority. It's going to be great. But until then, see you guys. All right, I'm assuming you stopped recording.